Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Right, so let's continue from the fa'il then. Now, marfu'at, like I said, marfu'at are, he mentions 7 types of marfu'at, okay, words which are in the rafa state. He mentions 7 types. And last week we talked about, briefly, we talked about the 7. We mentioned about the fa'il as well. Yeah, and we talked about how fa'il works. Fa'il is basically the subject of a verb. Okay, so can you guys see now? Yeah. Mullah, can you see? Right, so we mentioned about the rule where we said whenever a fa'il is dhahir, the fi'l must be singular masculine. Right, so like qara'a, and if it's feminine, qara'at Hind. So that's something very important to remember as well. So we talked about fa'il being zahir and fa'il being hidden. So now we're going to continue from where we left off last week, inshallah. And remember, any questions you do have, put them in the comments. Even if you think if it's irrelevant question, don't worry, put it in the comments, and inshallah, you know, someone could benefit. Yeah, someone could benefit, inshallah. Now let's continue with this. So now if you look at over here, right, let's look at the text. He says that al-fa'il huwa al-ism al-marfu. Fa'il is the noun which is in the rafa state. Marfu means the rafa state. Al-ism al-marfu al-madhkur, which is mentioned, qablahu fi'luhu. So it's a bit strange of how we translate this, and Arabic is strange language, so you guys got to get used to, yeah, you're getting yourself into a strange language, and you got to get your head around certain expressions that they say. In simple English, but basically what this is trying to say is an ism, fa'il is a noun which is in the rafa state, which is mentioned after a verb. He could have just said that, but don't know why. So inshallah, on the day of judgment, me and you can go to him and we can ask him, yeah, Sheikh, how comes you mentioned the definition like this? Right. Okay, and I gave the example over here. If you can see, qara'a zaydun, right? So zaydun is the fa'il. This is an ism, it's a noun, it's in the rafa state because it's one of the 7. It's the fa'il. And before it, the fi'l is mentioned. Okay. وَهُوَ عَلَى قِسْمَيْن, and this is of 2 types, ظاهر ومضمر. So it's ظاهر and مضمر. مضمر basically means hidden. So ظاهر means apparent, you can see it. Yeah, so the word Zayd you can actually see. And مضمر means you can't see it. So كتبنا, we wrote. After the word we wrote, there's nothing there. There's an X there. Okay, so because of that, what do we call this? We call this مضمر, hidden. Yeah, non-visible. Yeah, so no noun after the verb. Now, you see, I've highlighted this na, haven't I? And I'm going to talk a bit more about that today, inshallah. So, for zahir nahu qawlika, the zahir is like qama zaydun. Now, notice, after all of these, if you notice, the fa'il is mentioned. Okay, so, because the fa'il is mentioned. Now, I know you guys are probably going to say to me, why does it keep doing that? Okay, you're probably going to say to me that, oh, we can't see the cursor. I actually forgot how you change the cursor, so I apologize for that. Right, so here, I hope you guys can see qama zaydun. So zayd, this is the fa'il. Yeah, qama zayd. So zayd is the fa'il. Zayd is the fa'il again. Zaydani is the fa'il. Now notice the fi'l is always single. Qama zaydun, single. Yaqumu zaydun, Zayd stands, single. And notice on the Zayd you have a rafa, a sign of rafa, like we said last week. Remember, dawan. Yeah, dawan is acronym for dad, waw, alif, nun. Yaqumu zaydun, dhamma, wa qama az-zaydani, yeah, alif. Yeah, dawan, qama az-zaydani. So zaydani is 2 Zayds, and qama is single. Yaqumu az-zaydani, so the 2 Zayds are standing. وَقَامَ الزَّيْدُونَ, and Zayduna is waw. The rafa state is shown or symbolized with a waw. Yeah, so dawan, dad, waw, alif, nun. So قَامَ الزَّيْدُونَ, the Zayds stood. وَيَقُومُ الزَّيْدُونَ, and the Zayds are standing. Yeah, again, it's represented by waw, the rafa state. وَقَامَ الرِّجَالُ, so Rijal, قام الرجال. Rijal, men. The men stood up. Notice qama is single, because like we said, that the verb has to be single if it appears before the fa'il. وَيَقُومُ الرِّجَالُ, and the men are standing. وَقَامَتْ Hind, Hind, the woman Hind, stood up. وَقَامَتْ الْهِنْدُ, the Hind. Now that has no alif lam on there. This has an alif lam. The Hind stood up. وَقَامَتْ الْهِنْدَانِ, and the two Hinds stood up. Again, notice the fi'l is single, it's feminine. وَتَقُومُ الْهِنْدَانِ, the two Hinds are standing. وَقَامَتْ الْهِنْدَاتُ, and the many Hinds stood up. Okay, so again, this is past. Okay, single. وَتَقُومُ الْهِنْدَاتُ, so تَقُومُ, Hinds are standing. وَقَامَتْ الْهُنُود, and Hunud. So Hindat is Jama Muannath Salim form, and Al-Hunud is the Jama Mukassar form. Okay, and they're represented with a dot. وَتَقُومُ الْهُنُود, and the Hunud are standing. وَقَامَ أَخُوكَ, so your brother. So here this is represented with the waw. Yeah, the Asma al-Khamsa, like he says. So قَامَ أَخُوكَ, your brother stood. And يَقُومُ أَخُوكَ, your brother is standing. قَامَ غُلَامِي, and this is the one that we said where the vowel is actually hidden. غُلَامِي. Okay, so my boy, my slave stood up. So that's غُلَامِي, it's hidden. There's supposed to be a dhamma there, but you can't add it onto it. وَيَقُومُ غُلَامِي, my ghulam is standing. وَمَا أَشْبَهَ ذَلِكَ, and other words similar to this. In other words, he's saying, I haven't exhausted all the different possibilities of the examples with regards to fa'il, but you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. Now, let me just show you basically how this kind of works. So, okay, so let me just do over here. Now, if you have, let's say, fa'il. Okay, the fa'il. The fa'il is either going to be a single word, or it's going to be a dual word, or it's going to be a plural word. Okay? Single, dual, or plural. If it's single, it's either going to be masculine, or it's going to be feminine. And if it's plural, it's either going to be sound plural, or it's going to be mukassar, broken plural. Yeah, so sound jama salim. So all of these, what you have to remember is this. All of these, if the fa'il appears after the fi'l must always be single. So in the masculine form, single masculine. Yeah, in the feminine form, single feminine. In the dual form, single masculine, or if it's feminine, then single feminine. If it's sound, then sound is of two types. You got sound masculine, you got sound feminine. So for the sound masculine, single masculine. For the sound feminine, single. And for the mukassar, you actually got a choice. You can have sound masculine, single masculine, or single feminine. Okay, this is just like a rough breakdown for you guys. So for example, if I said the word Zaid, I say Qama Zaid. Yeah, Qama Zaidun. And if it's single feminine, then single feminine is of two types. Yeah, so Qamat Hind. Hind stood up. Okay, Hind. Now, if between the word Hind and the fi'l another word comes and breaks the link between them two, you're actually allowed to say Qama. Okay, for example, Qama al-yawm Hind. Yeah, Qama al-yawm. So the word al-yawm has broken between the fi'l and the fa'il. So you can say Qama al-yawm Hind. And if it's single feminine, my teacher used to say that is called an artificial, or does not give birth or lay eggs. If it's a feminine that does not give birth or lay eggs, in that case you have a choice of using the masculine or the feminine. So for example, like you can say طلع or you can say طلعت الشمس. Yeah, so you got a choice there. You can say طلع or you can say طلعت. So this only applies for feminines that are artificial feminines, غير حقيقي. But feminines that are حقيقي, yeah, these are called حقيقي feminines. حقيقي. Now see, the author hasn't talked about this. He hasn't mentioned any of this, but other books do mention it, so I thought I'd just add in the things that he's missed out. I'll just add them in. Yeah, so you can say طلع الشمس, you can say طلعت الشمس. Okay, and when it comes to dual and plural, you know, they're really the same. The only one that I want to look at is mukassar. So mukassar, you can say, for example, جاء الرسل, and you can say جاءت الرسل. Yeah, both mean the messengers came, but you're allowed to use the single masculine or you can use the single feminine. Yeah, for mukassar. Does that make sense? Yeah, you guys understanding it? Okay, so for sound and dual, again it's the same. So for dual, for example, قام الزيداني, yeah, or قامت الهنداني, like he mentioned in the text, or قام المسلمون, or you can say قامت المسلمات. Yeah, single, 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 single masculine, single feminine, appropriately. The only ones that can take both are this scenario, yeah, this scenario, and this scenario, and this scenario. Yeah, those are the only ones that can really take those. Okay, so that's fa'il, that is. So now let's move on to the next part of the text. So he says وَالْمُضْمَرُ إِثْنَا عَشَرَ. Now let me explain, or let me just go back to this list I made last week, and I just want to explain it. Now you guys have seen this, right? I mean, you guys have done sarf. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the dreaded sarf, where everyone dreads that lesson and you know, makes all sorts of excuses to kind of skip that lesson, miss it, or you know, come up with some crazy excuses that they haven't learned their gardans. So this is sarf basically. Now, see, I just want to explain something before we go ahead. Here there's 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 14 here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. First of all, huwa and here, yeah, nasara and nasarat are the only ones where you can have a fa'il after it. Yeah, so these are unique. These are the only ones, and I'll put it in blue. These are the only ones where you can have a fa'il after these. You cannot have a fa'il after 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, all to the end. You cannot bring a fa'il after it. Okay? So, then, the question comes, where is the fa'il then? So, let me write this down so at least you guys understand. And then there, no fa'il allowed after it. Yeah, no fa'il allowed after it. Those ones. Whereas those two you are allowed. So where is the fa'il then? So this is a bit of a kind of tricky one. This is. I didn't want to do it in this lesson. I was thinking to myself, shall I do it with these guys? Shall I do it with these guys? And I thought, okay, chalo, I'll do it. But this is going to come in the damirs, right? So in the damirs, we'll talk about it more, but I'll just touch on it over here. Now you see, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight the fa'il. The fa'il in these, is this the right size? Okay. Right, so the fa'il in these. So nasara, the file in this is this, considered this alif. Nasaru, the file in this is considered this. Nasarata, it's actually considered ta. Nasarna is the na. Nasarta is the ta. Nasartuma is the tuma. Nasartum is the tum. Nasarti is the ti. Nasartuma is the tuma. Nasartunna is the tunna. Nasartu is the tu. And nasarna is the na. There's some ikhtilaf amongst, difference of opinion amongst some grammarians exactly, but I'm just giving you general understanding. So see the one that I've colored in green? Those are considered to be the fa'il. No fi'il can exist without a fa'il. Right? But that fa'il does not have to appear after it. It can be incorporated into the verb itself. So all of these green ones, they are the fa'ils. Yeah? And these fa'ils are represented by, see these red ones I've written next to it, huma. That alif represents huma. And when we do damirs, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Nasaru, the waw, represents the hum, they. Nasarata, they too, huma, and etc. Okay, so if I bring a verb up to you, right? If I bring a verb, for instance, let me just show you the Quran, for example. Yeah, so the Quran over here, if I was to bring this and I said to you guys, okay, so in this زيلنا, what's the fa'il in here? Now obviously it can't be he. Yeah, it can't be he, nor can it be she. Right? So what is it going to be then? So the زيلنا, I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see it? Yeah, should be able to see it now. Okay, so زيلنا, there, it can't be he, can't be she, so it's obviously got to be inside of it. It's the na, زيلنا, the na over there. Okay, زيلنا. 1 second, I think. Okay, that should be better. So زيلنا, see that زيلنا there? You can see it now? Okay, so the زيلنا there, basically, that is the fi'l. And it can't be who. Okay, it can't be who, it can't be she, he, she. And hence it's got to be the na over there. Yeah, the na. Likewise, kuntum, that fi'l over there. What's the fa'il? The fa'il is the tum. Yeah, which represents, it's a representative or representation of the fa'il hidden inside of it, which is antum. Yeah, ta'buduna, likewise ta'buduna. This is a present verb. Okay, so in the present verb, ta'buduna, the verb is inside of it. So I didn't show you the present verbs because he doesn't touch on the present verbs. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Right, so let's go back to this then. So let's see what he says. So he says, وَالْمُضْمَرْ إِثْنَ عَشَرْ. Now, I've written 14 and he's saying 12. So it's a bit confusing. What does he mean? 14 and 12. So the way he works is like this. What he does is, he does not count. Let me choose a different color. He does not count Nasarata. Yeah, take that away. So how much you got left? You got 13 left. And Nasartuma, because this comes twice. Can you see here? Yeah, Nasartuma comes twice, so he counts it as 1. Right, so take another one away. How much are you left with? 12. Yeah, so he says, Al-Mudmar Ithna Ashar. The Mudmar file are 12. What are they? They are Nahwa Qawlika. Like you say, Darabtu, Darabna. So Darabtu, this one I said Nasartu. Yeah, Nasartu, Darabtu, same concept. Darabna, Nasarna, okay. Darabta, Nasarta, number 7 there. Darabti is number 10 there. Darabtuma, that's 11 and 8. Darabtum, that's number 9. Darabtunna, which is number 12. Daraba. Okay, so Daraba and Darabat, what's their symbol? So these two are the ones, when we study damirs, you're going to find out that these two actually don't have, yeah, These two are the ones that do not have an apparent damir. So no damir showing. There's no damir to show, so that's why I didn't color anything in. Now that they don't consider it, and damirs will come to that inshallah. Yeah, so daraba, that number 1, darabat number 4, daraba is number 2, darabu is number 3, darabna is number 6. See, now he's missed out darabata, nasarata. Yeah, so why has he done that for? Don't know. Yeah, some people have come up with some other reasons for this. Maybe it was his opinion. I haven't found any reason for that at the moment. Maybe if you have, you can put it in the comments. Wallahu alam. Maybe he just didn't mention it because, you know, it's just like that. Because some of them consider the ta to be the damir, so he said no point bringing it again. Anyway, whatever his reason is, we're going to find out inshallah day of judgment. I'm going to go and ask him. Right, next. So next is المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. Okay, المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. Now this is very easy. It follows on from the fa'il. So the fa'il over here, right, naib fa'il, what we call the naib fa'il. Yeah, so the book was read. This is called the maf'ul الذي لم يسمى فاعله. That's a long name for it. Yeah, it's a long name. Don't worry about this name. Do not worry about the name. The name simply means this. It means the object, which I'm giving it like a very, very long name. I'm adding some extra. Object which has a verb whose fa'il is non-existent. Yeah, or is not mentioned. So this long sentence, I don't know why they've got this long. Just call it naib fa'il, simple as that. It simply means this. You know, if you have a verb, if I said, for example, let's say if I said this. If I said, akala Zaid at-ta'am. Okay, akala Zaid at-ta'am. Zaid ate the food. Now let's say I wanted to say the food was eaten. I want to cut out the fa'il. I don't want to mention who ate it, whether it was a man or a woman or anything. So I want to cut out the fa'il now. So if I want to cut out the fa'il, what I say is ukila at-ta'am. Ukila at-ta'am. Now you see, the technical terms, if I reverse back, the technical term for this is fa'il. The technical term for this is called the maf'ul bihi. Yeah, maf'ul bihi. We haven't covered maf'ul bihi yet, but it's going to come. If I cut out the fa'il, yeah, what's happened? So what's happened is, because a fa'il has been removed and we're left with a fi'l. And the fi'l is what we call a fi'l majhul. Yeah, we don't know who is doing the action. Ukila. The maf'ul bihi replaces the fa'il, takes its place, meaning it takes the status of rafa. Right? The word ta'am now is taken the status of rafa, so we give this a dhamma. So ukila ta'amu, the food was eaten. Yeah, this is known as naib fa'il. Okay, so this is called a naib fa'il. It works in exactly the same way as a fa'il. The same rules that apply to fa'il, like I just mentioned, apply to this. So if you go back to here, right, it has, instead of a fa'il dhahir, right, it has a naib fa'il dhahir. And instead of a fa'il mudmar, it has a naib fa'il mudmar. Right, and in this as well, the verbs have the same concept. He and she, right, he and she are, you know, the ones that can only have the naib fa'il after them. And all the rest cannot have the naib fa'il after them. And the ones that are colored in green, those are representing the hidden naib files inside of it. Okay, so that's basically what you have to remember. There's only one more thing that you have to remember is how... Oh, look at that. Yeah, you guys weren't expecting that, were you? Right, well, these kind of lessons. Get ready for more. So in Arabic, if you want to make a verb which is what we call majhul, a majhul verb. Okay, so for instance, if I said akala, akala means he ate. He ate. Now if I want to say, for example, he ate the food, at-ta'am. He ate the food. So if I want to convert this into a majhul, what I have to do is I give the second to last letter kasra, and all the letters before it I give it dhamma. Ukila at-ta'am. So now the translation is the food was eaten. Oops. The food was eaten. Yeah. So ukila at-ta'amu. Okay, so it's a simple way of converting the verb. Now I'm not going to go through this because this is a dars of nahu. If you want to learn more about this, then you're going to learn it in sarf. Okay, and I do the 17 Quranic Arabic 17 lessons. I do that, and then you can learn it in there, inshallah. So I'm going to be starting that this Sunday, okay, which is the 20th of November. Those who are interested can contact me, inshallah, and you can do that course. That would be a perfect course before you actually go into Ajurrumiyyah. Yeah, it's a perfect precursor course, and in there you learn that. Okay, ukila at-ta'am. So the food was eaten, and in the present verb, yeah, ya'kulu, he is eating at-ta'am. Ya'kulu at-ta'am. Ya'kulu at-ta'am. Okay, now we change this. So you give now the rule here is you give the first letter a dhamma and all the rest apart from the last letter fatha. Yu'kalu at-ta'am. Okay, yu'kalu. The food is being eaten. The food is being eaten. So again, if you want to learn more about this, then you can do the 17 lessons with me, inshallah. Otherwise, you're going to have to do sarf and you're going to have to learn that. So I won't be going through that. So let's look at this then. Okay, let's look at this. So we have المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. The maf'ul whose fa'il is not mentioned, meaning na'ib fa'il. وهو, it is al-ism, the ism, which is marfu in the marfu state, الذي لم يذكر معه فاعله, which has no fa'il mentioned with it. In other words, no fa'il mentioned does not mean it's omitted from the sentence. It means the verb cannot have a fa'il. The verb does not qualify for a fa'il. Yeah, no, we don't know who is he eating. Is it a man? Is it a woman? And we don't know. فإن كان الفعل ماضيا, if the fi'l is ماضي, ضم أوله. Yeah, so you see, if the fi'l is ماضي, أكل, the first letter is given dhamma, ضم أوله. First letter is given dhamma. وكسر ما قبل آخره, and the second to last letter is given a kasra. أكل. وإن كان مضارعا, if it's مضارع, يأكل, ضم أوله, the first letter is given dhamma. وفتح ما قبل آخره, and the letters before the last one are given fatha. So يؤكل. Yeah, hope that makes sense. وهو على قسمين, and naib file is of two types, ظاهر and مضمر, like I said, the files. Yeah, so let me just bring that up, show you guys. Yeah, وهو على قسمين, ظاهر and مضمر. الظاهر نحو قولك. ظاهر is like you saying ضرب زيد. Zaydun is the naib file. Yeah, so Zayd was hit. Yeah, so this is ظاهر. يضرب زيد. Zayd is being hit. أكرم عمرو. Amr was honored. يكرم عمرو. Amr will be honored. والمضمر, and the mudmar, so he hasn't done the whole list that he done earlier on. He's not going to do it, man. Come on. Yeah, you're not going to do it. So he's not going to do it. But the good thing to do would be to start practicing. So in the end of this lesson, I'll give you some examples you can practice, and maybe you can put them in the comments. وَالْمُضْمَرُ إِثْنَ عَشْرٍ. The mudmar are 12, like we done before. Remember, there's really 14 there. But remember, he's cut out one, and two of them he's merged together. نحو قولك, like you say, ضربت. I was hit. ضربنا. We were hit. ضربت. You were hit. ضربتي. You, female, were hit. ضربتما. You too were hit. ضربتم. All of you were hit. ضربتن. All of you women were hit. ضرب. He was hit. ضربت. She was hit. ضربا. Both of them were hit. ضربوا. They were hit. ضربنا. Okay, so that's na'ib fa'il. So that's why I didn't want to spend too much time on this, because I know, lessons get stretched and long, and it gets too difficult to carry on. Yeah, so I like to make the lessons nice, easy, short, brief. You understand, and you understand the text as well. That's the most important thing. Okay, so let me give you some examples so you can try. Yeah, so what I'll do, I think I'll write it down. Yeah, writing it down would be easier. Let me just type this out then. So you can have a go at this. The mothers wrote. Yeah, so the mothers as in plural, okay. Yeah, so the mothers wrote. So have a go at that. That's one example. Another one. The two students sat. Okay, so the two students sat. So you can make them two male students or female students, whatever you like. Yeah, the two students sat. Okay, let's give you another one then. They, plural feminine, PF, read. Yeah, so have a go at that. The idea is for you guys to try and understand if you truly understood the lessons. Yeah, if you understood the lessons, you should be able to do this, and if you don't, that means you haven't understood. You need to go back and entered. Yeah, we entered. So I will go with that one. Okay, we entered. Let me try one more. The Muslims heard. The Muslims heard. So you can have it as Muslims as in men Muslims or female Muslims, or two, or whatever you have, but you have to have. Just want to see if you've understood it or not. So these are some examples that you can try. Try them out. So you got what we covered today. So let's quickly recap then. So okay. So marfu'at, you got the fa'il, you got naib fa'il, you got mubtada, you got khabar, you got ism kana, khabar inna, tabi', marfu'. And then we talked about the fa'ils. We said you got single, you got dual, you got plural. And then we talked about the single, feminine, masculine. We said feminine two types, haqiqi and ghair haqiqi. If it doesn't give birth or lay eggs, it's called ghair haqiqi. And it can take both single masculine form or single feminine. And then you got dual and sound, and then plural mukassar, that one there, that can take two, ja'a and ja'at, single masculine or single feminine. And then we talked about the naib fa'il as well, right? And we mentioned all that stuff. So I hope that makes sense, guys. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comments. And like I said, I'm going to be starting a course, inshallah, 17 lessons for those who really want to understand the Quran, understand Arabic, and from scratch. Yeah, and then this is like a precursor course and they can follow this. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.